So I get this lawnboy lawnmower here, and sometimes it doesn't want to start. I've checked the last time it came here, it didn't have spark. So what I did was this cutoff lever here, where it goes in there, I made sure it wasn't grounding out the coil. I bought a replacement coil put on there, and it barely would run. And then for some reason I just put the old coil back on so it'd be whole, and I pulled the string and it fired right up. Okay, now it's quit again. So right here's our model numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a spark tester on here, and let's see if we got spark. Now right there is a spark tester. So we're going to see, I turned the lights out so we can see spark or not. Okay, I'm going to try this with a different kind of spark tester. I'll tell you why here in a second. I don't know if you can still see or not. I can hear the snap and the sparking. I open that spark tester up a little bit more. I've opened that spark gap up even more. I'm still getting the spark off that. Now if you look at these lighted spark plug testers, this end here fits up into the coil wire, and this end fits over top the spark plug. So you're still using the spark plug as a ground and everything when you're using one of these. You know, this is going through the spark plug, this end here. Now on this spark tester, it plugs into the coil the same. It clamps onto something metal that you can ground to, you know, so you're bypassing the spark plug. And then you can, see I had it up there a good little bit open. You can adjust this. You can set your, like right here is standard. You can set that, and if you can jump that spark, fine. But you can open this up and test your spark, because if it'll still spark a bigger gap, that's good. This you can kind of go by how bright the light is. But I use these sometimes because it's easier just for a quick check. But I like something like this. Okay, a 3/4 socket. Let's take that plug out. And that spark plug looks nasty, don't it? Now the bad thing is, when this mower first came here, I couldn't get it to have spark. Right now, I'm flooding. Okay, so I took a lighter, tried to dry that plug up a little bit. I'll stick it in there real quick and just see if it'll fire up. It's been a while since he dropped this off, and when he dropped it off, we didn't have no spark. This thing, the spark comes and goes. I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, I tried to dry that off a little bit. Let's see what happens. had the fuel turned off just so I wouldn't flood it again. Let's see what happens. Now they had this piece of rope thing here tied around this handle really tight. When I first got it running, I couldn't get that slid off. It was so tight that I pulled the spark plug wire off. And then I did it so I could make sure I could set it off when I was using it here. So I mowed about 10 minutes with it and everything was fine. I let it set for a half hour and went back out and it fired right up. I'm not sure why it, you know, where this thing works and stuff, I've checked all that. Okay, well, the fuel's off. Man, I messed my back up. It'll go just walking. Okay, so I took the 4 screws out. 2 cycles faces the front. The string, of course, goes back there. That's all you got to remember. And that can just lift right up off of there. And we have this, and I think I'm going to have to take a fuel line off if I remember right. Yeah. You probably can't see it, but there's a line, fuel line right back here that has to come off of here. Make sure you got the valve closed so your fuel don't run out. Okay, so the tank was plastic. I took the fuel line off the carburetor because it was metal. Less chance of breaking something. And here's what we got. We got this coil here. We got that wire on it. Now last time it was here, I had that wire off of there so the coil couldn't be grounded and I still had no spark at all. I took this coil off. I cleaned where it mounts and everything like that. And then we got this coil, an aftermarket coil, and I tried to put it on there. Well, the problem with this one is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, this ain't square to these flanges. So when you put this up against the flywheel, you got 10 thousandths gap on one side, but it's almost touching on the other. So this thing's so out of square that I couldn't set the gap. And that's when I put this one back on. And it ran fine for a while and then it just quit sparking again. It was brought back here, no spark. And you guys saw when I first pulled this, I had no spark today. I zoomed the camera in, then I had spark, and it's ran and started ever since. Why does it just come and go? My only thing is that thing that shuts it off, your handle squeeze, has to be defective. But like I say, I can pull that when it has no spark. I can pull that little wire off the coil, and I still had no spark. So it appears this wire comes from the coil, and then it comes to here, and this little hoop on the outside here is what it connects to. Then you got this tab right here. It's connected down here at the bottom. You see it's connected to housing, so that would be ground. Like right now, you got continuity from the wire down through here because it's touching, you know, so I'll have continuity. But when I pull the handle back, it pulls this spring back, makes that go back, and then everything should be good. We'll try this. Okay, we should be able to hear the beep. So if I hook to this wire in the back, comes in the coil, I should have it down here into the case. I can even come back here. See, so that should ground it out and shut it off and kill the spark. Now watch when I pull that handle, you'll see this thing pull that back. It's going to pull that little tab right there back. Pull the handle and then I'll put their string on top of it. See, you should see it squeezing it back right now. See, what happened is this pulled that back and pulled that tab away from this U right here. So now if we check that, we shouldn't have it. You know what? I took that wire off the coil and brought it around here so you can see what I'm doing. So now if I hold this into the wire and I touch right here, see, I don't have no continuity. I will on this ring because that's what that tab comes out and hits that ring to shut it off. Theoretically, nothing there can be making it lose spark sometimes. There's another one of my concerns with this engine. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. That crank bearing, it lets it move a little bit. That's been that way for a long time. So this bracket that the coil bolts to, oh, let me get a better. I should have just left it where I had it, huh? That's just me not getting through the rust. Now I see there's a bolt here and there's another bolt up underneath it here. Looks like two bolts that hold this bracket on for the coil. I'm going to take that bracket off and clean the surfaces up and put it back on, just so I know that bracket isn't losing ground to the engine. But I'm not sure how that would do that. I don't know, it baffles me, because the only thing I did was zoom the camera and then I had sparks, so. And this thing's been an ongoing thing. So I got one of them bolts out, and it looks like it's just bolted on there, and it looks, the bolt I took out looks clean. Looks like you can see where the star washer was biting in to the metal. I don't think this has got anything to do with it, but I ain't got nothing else to try. I tried everything else. There we go. Now look, those look clean enough, don't they? I'm gonna clean, take me a little piece of real fine, like 400 grit paper. I just want to kind of sand these up a little bit and where it bolts on. Then we'll put it back on there. Now if you look, this hole and this hole is where that bolts on. They was fairly clean, but they look pretty clean now. This bracket's pretty clean. And I've had that coil off and cleaned it up and put it back on. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I'll just... Okay. So let's see if we can wiggle this thing back up in there. I guess I should probably take... Now there's a piece on the coil that I don't know that I've seen the last time. These babies are rubbed in there. Oh, getting them started. I just like to start them by hand if I can. So that one started by hand. Now I get this one. A little snuggie. Little snuggie. There's that. There's that one. I don't want to go too tight, but I wanted to make sure they're grounded. Now look, it looks like that plug wire had been laying right on that plastic. Suppose that plug wire has anything to do with it, and why wouldn't I have seen that the last couple times I took it apart? So see, these aren't that bad. I'm going to scuff them up again, clean them. And where it's bolted on, you can see it's fairly shiny. I'll clean those up. That's got me concerned. That's the only thing I see wrong. So what I did, see these two ears on either side? You see the slot? It connects onto here, onto that coil. So I'm gonna try to clean that hole out down in there. It does got some little bit of crud. It doesn't look terrible. I'm gonna try to clean that up in there really good. Okay, so what I did was I took some of this contact cleaner and then I just took this pick after I got in there and just kind of cleaned around. You can feel that center stub in there. I pulled this back up the wire a little bit, and this is going to go on like this, so my wire has to go this way, and we're going to put that back in there and make sure it goes all the way in and bottoms out. And then I'm going to push that clip up on there, I think. Okay, I got that back in there. Putting it in there and sliding that up didn't seem to work well. I tried to lubricate it and all. I just had to keep inching it up until I got it to where I got that wire in there as tight as I could, and you could just barely snap that back on. So I hope that's all okay. Now next thing I'm gonna do is tape the crap out of that wire right there. So I got that all taped up pretty good. We're gonna put this back on. Okay, so I got a side out of a 12 pack of pop, the cardboard. I'm gonna hold it here and I'm gonna turn this around till that magnet gets there. And I can feel the magnet sucking it there. It moved right up. I had the coil loose and I had that on there, so now I can just tighten that coil down and maybe we'll check it with a feeder gauge. This one's a 10 thousandths and it's brass, so it won't stick down in the magnet. It's not bad. It might be a little bit big. think we're gonna try it right there. This one piece of the coil, here I'll show you on this one. This one's right on. This here is just a wee touch loose. I think it'll be fine. If not, we'll have to readjust it, huh? So now I can just put this back together, I think. And let's see what happens. Plug your coil wire in. Like I say, this is easy enough to take off. I can always come back in here and readjust it. Now, when you go to put that on, remember to stick your fuel line on. And this is just a gravity feed, so it doesn't have a clamp or nothing on this one. Okay, so that fuel line's on. Let's see what's going on here. You gotta line these 4 bolts up here, holes gotta line up. Alright, now we get this on there. Remember the 2 cycle part went out. It should just fit right down on there. Now we don't have to get all those screws lined up. What's holding me back is that fuel line, just a little bit long maybe. So we got to get it lined up. Here's one. Okay, so I had to do a little maneuvering around looking down in there to get them lined up. Like I say, that fuel line seems to be wanting to push the green part back just a little bit. Got them all started good by hand. Remember, tight, but they go in plastic, so. So that should be everything. I got the plug wire back on. I should be able to put it down on the ground and try to start it. Okay, it's on the ground. Like back, that's hard to do. We turn the gas on. Now, make sure you don't got no leaks. Might take a pull or two here to see what happens. For now, we're going to call that good. I cleaned up where the coil mounts, the bracket the coil mounts to. We taped up that wire. And I think everything's pretty good. We'll know as soon as he takes it down there and tries to mow with it. If it comes back, I guess there'll be another part of the video. Like I say, this ain't the first time I've done most of this. I never took the bracket off and cleaned it, but everything else I have. So usually he'll take it and 2 or 3 months later it's back. I don't know. We'll see if it lasts this time.